Mr. Hardman? Mr. Malik? Mr. Malik? You have a second on the I'd like to talk to you back on here, so it'll only take a second. Does anybody not have their midterm Part B? Here, what's your name?
Oh, and then they said like, I didn't really ask.
Squeeze me, squeeze me.
Oh,
I'm drawing a blank. What's the name? Chris Craig? That was my first instinct, but I'll be done later. Okay, part C of this midterm. I forgot to bring my notes in terms of when homework 7 is due and when midterm part C is due. So I'm going to go home tonight with those notes and put it out on the blackboard, which comes to you all in your email as well, okay? So those due dates will come out tonight. That TBA means to be announced, and that means later tonight, or if I'm tired, earlier in the morning. So tonight, homework number 5 is due, and retry number 2 on homework number 3. Homework 6 has already been announced as being due on next Wednesday. What's your name, sir?
Morgan Blood. Thank you.
What I'm going to do tonight for sure is go over my expectations for homework 7, which is on afterburning, although they are written on that assignment sheet, which is posted. I'm going to go over my expectations for part C of the midterm, and I'm going to put up some sample correct numbers on some of these assignments for you to target, okay? And then I'm hoping we can start maybe the discussion on our spark ignition engine, you know, leaving gas turbine engines behind, okay? And we're going to model, we're going to do a little computer simulation of that, modeling it as the theoretical Otto cycle. This is much more sophisticated than the air standard Otto cycle, which was our first cut at it, if you will, okay? So, the midterm, part C. most of you all did this part B correctly, and I was happy with that. Complaints that I had against some of you. Some of you made mistakes, okay, and didn't, had wrong answers, okay. And some of you all had right answers, but I was not happy with one of two things or both. You didn't provide me enough digits in the table to let me accurately judge whether your answer was right or not, or your documentation of how you got the answers that you got, applying conservation of mass and or conservation of energy in the case of looking for the solution for X, Y, and Z and W. Specific numerical values of those four entities, those four mass fractions in particular. Your equations were, your presentation was just completely inadequate, and you know it. Nobody could figure out what in the blank you were talking about from what you gave me. And that's unacceptable, okay? Don't do that to me anymore. Don't hand me nonsense, please. So don't do that. I penalize you for it, and I'm gonna make it even worse on this next one if you do that, okay? You need, please, to go back and make sure you'll need to have your enthalpies right again to get part C correct. And now you'll need to have the numerical values of your mass flow rate fractions correct. So if you didn't give me enough digits of accuracy, or you just were flat out wrong in your results, okay, please fix that and make sure that your enthalpies and the numbers that I gave. Did I tell you that the solution was available on Part B yet online? Did I say that? The solution for Part B, I put it on Blackboard. I'm not sure I clicked on it to make sure it was available, but I think it is. The same place where the solution for Part A was posted, the solution should be available now for Part B. If somebody's good on the computer, maybe you confirm that. If it's not, I just need to click Make Available. A lot of times I have stuff on there that you all can't see until I do that. But make sure that your enthalpies and your mass flow rate fractions are reset to correct values with lots of digits. And then report, Mr. McGuire, are you saying it is available?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. So make sure you do a reset so that the 35 points out of 100 that for the test as a whole that remain available to you, you have as good a chance as anyone on getting full credit on that 35 points, despite what you might have done on the previous part or parts, right? That's why I break it up like this. It's one of the reasons. So you're going to apply conservation of mass and conservation of energy with conservation of mass integrated into it for multiple inflow and outflow streams to various control volumes in order to compute specific works and specific heat transfers, okay, for various components, okay? So unlike the control volumes that you put around the feed water heaters, okay, these control volumes will likely have heat and work terms, or power and heat transfer terms scaled by m.1. Everything is scaled by m.1. Okay, and then once you have all these scaled heat transfer rates and powers, you're able to, from there, with the given power, net, with the given m.net, okay, expressing it in appropriate units, perhaps different from what I gave you, okay, you'll be able to compute the actual mass flow rate, m.1. And from there, theoretically, all mass flow rates are knowable because you know all mass flow rate fractions, right? You could fill out the last column of table 2, although I'm not actually asking you to do that. It's knowable in principle. What I do want you to give me is the mass flow rate at station 1, okay, which is the maximum mass flow rate. It's all running together, right? So do you all have any questions on things? Make sure you explain to me by showing me your control volume equations, okay, from which you're going to calculate the various quantities asked for there, okay? And don't give me nonsense, please. It's just so frustrating to see people at your all's level getting ready to graduate that gives me that kind of nonsense when you all, you know, and I know it's unacceptable. You know, you just did something at the last second with complete carelessness to get it done. So, any questions about midterm part C? All right. Mr. Pape, did you get yours? Okay. So, the expectations for homework 7 Afterburner. You know, I kid you all about the fact that I'm lazy, right? Lazy. Like it's, you know, it's a joke, okay? It is a joke. But on the serious side, okay, when I was in your all's shoes, I worked around the clock. If I was awake, I was working. My wife would put food in front of me, okay? Thank goodness I had her, so I didn't have to do anything but work. I would eat food that she put in front of me and sleep and work around the clock. If I was awake, I was working, okay? So I joke about laziness, but I don't really intend, you know, I'm not promoting it, and I certainly don't condone it in you. You say, well, why don't you set the example? Well, I've already passed this class. Okay, let's see. Homework. Homework 7. This is the afterburning assignment. This assignment has 2 parts to it. Okay, you have in the course notes, you have a complete calculation of a turbojet engine with afterburning, and the modification required to your turbojet / turbofan computer program is very minimal to get it to do this assignment. We discussed the specifics of that last time. Okay, So this homework has two parts similar to homework 3. You know, I'm going to grade it total out of 100, but it'll definitely, your grade will be based 50 out of 50 and 50 out of 50 for each part, okay? Part 1, okay, and by the way, your afterburner, the stagnation pressure loss factor for the afterburner, please use the same as for the main combustion chamber, 4%, and your afterburner combustion efficiency, okay, use the same as for the main burner, 98%, okay? Part 1 is we're going to look at the effect of afterburner temperature. That will be T07, the flame temperature, the temperature of the products for the afterburner, okay, which will be in every case something that basically I specify, okay. I'd like you to examine the effect of afterburner on specific thrust, FS, and fuel consumption as expressed in a scale way by TSFC. I'd like you to look at the effect of these two primary performance variables as a function of afterburner temperature at cruise, okay? So you will use the same flight conditions as you used on turbojet, okay? And everything will be set to the turbojet variables, okay, that were given in the class example, everything to do with flight conditions, basic parameters such as overall pressure ratio, isentropic efficiencies, you know, all that stuff. The same as the original example problem on turbojet, and also the same as what we did in the afterburning example. That's what was done with the afterburner example that we went over. It is also detailed for you in the course notes, okay? Please calculate FS and TSFC with afterburning, considering afterburner temperatures of 1200 K to 2000 K inclusive in increments of 100 K. Plot those results and tabulate them. Make sure you tabulate them, because I can't tell if you did it right or not just from the plots. But I want you to see the trends. Please plot a scaled value of FS and TSFC. Please plot it by scaled values of what it would be with no afterburning. Okay, and those values would be exactly the sample numbers for the original turbojet example. And I've repeated those numbers here. So everything that you plot is actually scaled by these numbers here. They're constants. Is that clear? The reason I want to scale them is so that you see what the improvement is immediately, right? And remember, the scaled TSFC is not really a very accurate, it's not a measure at all of what the actual raw fuel consumption increase is, right? I demonstrated that last time. It's actually much worse, okay, than what the scale, what you need to look at actually to see what the actual fuel consumption penalty is to afterburning is you need to scale the Fs, not the TSFCs. Okay, the actual fuel air ratios will be the ratios of the actual fuel consumption rate increase due to afterburning. But this is what I want you to do for part 1. Does anybody have any questions about this?
Question.
Yes.
So we're for the no afterburner constant you
Yep,
have to calculate?
just a constant. It's not gonna be a variable in this part.
It's not gonna be different for each temperature.
No, no, because I'm looking at it for, with the afterburner not even there. Scaling it as if it's just turbojet, no afterburner. And then looking at the fact if we do the same thing but then reheat and expand. Okay? So in this case, the scaling parameter is the same for every one of your data points. It's just these numbers. And these numbers you'll find in the course notes under turbojet. This was the first full calculation number that we did of these variables. Okay? Is that good? Yes, sir?
I just want to make sure the temperature range 1200 to 2000, that's only for the afterburner.
That's the afterburner temperature. See, that says temp AD, temperature afterburner, and that could also be called T07. Okay?
So the combustion chamber is not going to have, it's still going to be the
Combustion
1200.
chambers, the main burner, if you will, that's the same.
It's the same.
Turbine inlet temperature, I think of 1200, and the other principal parameter, the overall pressure ratio was 9, wasn't it, right?
So you wanted to change it to that now? You don't want it to iterate between 4 to 30?
No, oh no.
Okay.
No, that was assignment 5, where we were looking at the effect of those two all-important parameters on the turbojet. Okay, that's assignment 5. Okay. Okay, that's part 1. Everybody got it before we can move to part 2? Okay. The effect of afterburning on takeoff for us at sea level. A lot of people get part 1 right and screw up part 2. Some changes you gotta make, okay? First of all, this is for a fixed afterburner temperature, T07, 2000 K, okay? And we're gonna look at altitude of 0 kilometers, so that means you go to your standard atmospheric table, I believe it's handout 5. Instead of 5 kilometers, 0 kilometers, this is going to change your static temperature of your surrounding air and your surrounding pressure. You know, atmospheric pressure, which is in effect your back pressure, right, that your nozzle sees. Okay, everybody got it? So that's going to change, okay? And we're going to look at FS and TSFC as it varies from a forward flight speed of 0 to 300 meters per second. And 300 meters per second is roughly Mach 0.85 or something like that. I don't know. You remember Mach 0.84 from the other examples had a speed of 269 meters per second, but that was at a different local speed of sound because it was a different temperature, right? So I don't know what this will be, but you know, it's a full subsonic cruise speed for a system like this, okay? So previously in your code, your input was Mach number, and you calculated VA. So you have to make some minor adjustments to specify VA, your forward flight speed, and then from there calculate Mach number. Does that make sense? It's a very easy little minor modification, all right? And so takeoff, your Mach number and your forward speed is 0, right? Please allow that thing, do these calculations with VA going from 0 to 300 meters per second, inclusive in increments of 50 meters per second, okay? Now here, I'm gonna have you look at afterburning and no afterburning results. Okay, but in this case, your no afterburning results do vary. It's not just a fixed number. Okay, so you need to go through and look at what your specific thrust is and your TSFC as a function of VA at sea level with no afterburner, and plot that, okay? And then turn on your afterburner, 2000K afterburner, and do the same calculation, and plot that, and have them compared on the plots. Does that make sense? So it'll look, you know, I'm not saying the trends or anything specific, but you'll have, you know, I'm not saying this is the way the thing trends, but you'll have something like this, okay, and this will be your afterburner, okay, and you're going to expect a lot more specific thrust, right, for your afterburner than with your no afterburner. And I am not saying that it will increase as a function of VA. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just putting a line on here to show you that you want two lines. Okay. Okay. I think it actually will decrease with VA if I remember. Okay. I think. Because you remember your thrust, you know, your momentum thrust component is it's basically VE minus VA, and if VA is 0, look what a boost that gives your momentum thrust, right, in FS compared to, you know, something else, you know, VA equal to 300 or something. You see what I'm saying? Hope that makes sense. And then you'll have similarly over here like this, right? And you expect much higher fuel consumption afterburner than no afterburner, right? Is that clear? Has everybody got it? Okay, let me give you some sample results. I might have done this, I guess if I were really nice. It wasn't a matter of being nice, it was a matter of forgetting to do it. Let me give you some sample right answers, okay? These numbers are correct. So give you target values. For homework 5, and you all are turning that in tonight, so you can, it's too late now, you got to turn it in tonight. But for OPR equal to 24 and turbine inlet temperature of 1400 K, this is one of your many data points, okay? And then say at OPR equal to 12 and turbine inlet temperature equal to 1500 K. These are just numbers I picked at random. Here's what your FS and your TSFC numbers should be. So if you didn't do it right, you're going to get one retry to get homework 5 right, and this time you'll be working with right answers to target, okay? This is 597.339 in the usual units. This is 0.102851 in the usual units. This one is FS and TSFC equal to 707.581. I think I even on my computer where I had a really large number of digits, I got 421 on that. And then 0.1254 32581. All right. You should agree with me to at least 4 digits after rounding. where you have an error, probably more than that, okay? But I'm probably gonna give you correct if you give me 4. I'm sure you have an error if you don't agree to that. If you're not agreeing to 6, you have an error, but probably gonna let the error slide if you agree with me to 4 digits. And that's significant digits. I don't mean digits after the, I don't mean digits after the decimal point. I mean digits after the 0. Okay? Remember, the leading digits before a decimal place are not significant. They're just placeholders, right? For the order of magnitude, right? So, any questions about that? Okay. Here are some more right answers. Homework 6. You'll be doing this with the benefit of a right answer right off the bat. Remember that I changed the overall pressure ratio. And the turbine inlet temperature to be different than the sample calculation given for the turbofan engine. Okay, the turbofan engine had some sample results, an initial calculation, trying to make it as much like the turbojet calculation as possible. For this assignment, this is what was given. OPR equal to 24, and turbine inlet temperature of 1400 K. Okay, and remember, you were also given that the fan pressure ratio, okay, equal to 2, and that would mean that pressure ratio, you could also call this pressure ratio compressor low pressure. It's what we call the fan pressure ratio. And this would mean the pressure ratio across the compressor high pressure will equal 24 divided by 2, right? Equal to 12, okay? So what you're looking at is the variation of bypass ratio. I told you to go from bypass ratio of 0, which is turbojet, to some maximum value, which, and I gave you the hint, it would be 4.75, okay, because that's where thereafter you don't have enough stagnation pressure in your hot nozzle to even drive it, okay? But for a bypass ratio of 2.5, FS will equal 229.462, and TSFC will equal 0.0771608. So those are sample right answers for homework 6 and for homework 7. Homework 7. Okay, let's put the part 1 stuff over here. For a temperature of the afterburner equal to 1800 K. Remember I asked you to go from 1200 K to 2000 K? Here is what your actual raw numbers for FS and TSFC will look like. Now remember, what you're going to report is these numbers scaled by a particular constants in every case, right? FS and TSFC, no afterburner. One number for all results. But here's the raw number. 864.081 and the usual numbers. 0.18. 3172. And you remember your FS and TSFC, okay, no afterburner. Just to repeat them. You can see what the change is for this number right here. Remember, this number was 535.841. And this number was 0.112984. Okay? So there's your right answers in a unscaled form. Okay? Isn't this fun having the right answer? Okay. What I get, not as much anymore, is people arguing with me. I don't get that. What did you mean do wrong? I assure you, I do lots of wrong answers, mistakes, but these numbers are right. Okay? All right, part 2. VA goes from 0 to 300. So let's look at 2 sample places. Okay? Let's look at the no afterburner results. See, you got to change some things. It can even mess up your no afterburner results. You know, you're going to have to change your altitude to 0, and that changes PA and TA. See, people foul up right here because they'll have their back pressure in their program hardwired in. Okay? And it'll get changed on the front end where they're calculating stuff about inflow conditions and stagnation conditions coming in, and then it'll just be hardwired to some wrong back pressure. You know, these are types of things I see people screw up. So even their no AB results, their no afterburner results are incorrect, despite having homework 5 correct. And I go, what's wrong? All my, pure turbojet stuff was working. Okay? So this is 7, and this is FS and TSFC. FS, TSFC. FS, TSFC. $712, $189, 0.0859, 751, 459.788, 0.114193, similarly, when the afterburner's on, remember T07, which is temperature afterburner, 2000 K for all results. 1054.84, 0.17, 4862, 857.458, 0.20, 9639. Okay, there's your sample right answers. Wasn't that fun? Okay, how are we doing for time? Maybe we can start the next
3 minutes.
3 minutes?
30.
30? What's, I'm going to leave these things all up here. But I'm gonna pull the screen down, but I won't erase them. So that you can get them later. If you need. My hope is to have this material on the next topic, which is the theoretical Otto cycle. That's going to be what we study and do calculations with in order to investigate spark ignition engines. My goal is to have all this section done done before Thanksgiving, so that you can fool with the assignments associated with it over Thanksgiving. Come back from the same and hand it in and pretty much be done with the course. Okay? The final exam is nothing but exercising the computer program that you're going to do for homework 8. It's just exercising it on some test cases. So it's like a freebie. But homework 3, part 2 has to work, right? And the rest of your computer program for homework 8 will have to work. And then the final exam is free. Alrighty, what I'm doing now is going back to the handouts. And I'm looking at course notes. This is sort of like the Bible of calculations in here. It's the How to Do It Right cookbook, right? So here's the turbo. I'm in the turbo fan notes area, afterburner area. And that brings us to the last stuff on this. The reciprocating piston spark ignition engines. And what we're going to look at is 4-cycle engines, right? As opposed to the 2-cycle engines. Okay? There's an up and down motion, which is the power stroke, where you have to concern yourself with work of compression and work of expansion.